Check out the Fuso starting grid. 28 competitors, and the guy that's going to lead them away today, Will Davison. Great job in qualifying. His teammate and his buddy Mark Winterbottom alongside, all forward front row. It's split between both brands on row 2. David Reynolds had a great job in the recent past in qualifying. Then it's Jamie Whincup. Michael Caruso, you can add the remarks there about doing a great job. What a great performance for him. He loves this racetrack. Fabian Coulthard, a little problem with an oil leak yesterday. Jason Bright was squished exhaust, slowed him up. Both of those guys are going to be speedy today. Patrizzi and Webb, teammates for Techno Autosports. The first driver in the field on a soft tyre. One of 4 of the 28 on the soft tyre is James Courtney.
And as we run you through the field, just a quick reminder about what happened to Jonathan Webb. He qualified in 7th, but had a 3-spot penalty applied for contact with Lee Holdsworth yesterday. Hence the reason why he starts next to his teammate on the 5th row of the grid in 10th. And there is Holdsworth starting from 19th. Russell Ingall, winner of the inaugural event here, 2 race wins back in 1998. Garth Tander has also had a mountain of success in this circuit. Todd Kelly, a former race winner. In fact, there are 10 drivers in the field who have tasted victory around here. That doesn't include Murph, who is watching this one back at home. So it's pretty evenly spread. David Russell filling in for Greg Murphy in the Pepsi Max crew, and Carl Reindler in the Fairnickham Sheds entry to bring up the rear of the grid. There's James Moffat. He had a pretty wild ride throughout qualifying.
He did, didn't he?
We caught down at turn 5. He's also been doing some commentary duties for us today in the V8 Utes. David Russell steps in yet again. He filled in for Greg at Tasmania and Simmons Plains. He's back in the cockpit this time around, and we hope that Murph will be well and truly back in time for the Enduros. David Reynolds starting from the 2nd row of the grid. There's Mike Henry, who's going to be our Access All Areas man this weekend down at HRT. G'day, mate. What can you shed some light on for your plans today for you two guys?
Mate, we obviously it's very early in the day to make any calls on strategy, but to begin with, we're all looking at about a 2-stopper. So hopefully that all goes to plan and we don't have any problems.
Got any tricks up your sleeve to get Tander up the order, Mike? Because he's down in 21st. It's a big job.
Yeah, plenty, mate, but we're not going to tell you just yet.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for your cooperation on that.
We've given you the gig, your Access All Areas. Tell us something, Mike.
Well, I think it's safe to say, with this race being as long as it is, that early on, if we get an early pace car, I think most of us would be looking at taking the option of a 3-stopper.
All right, good luck, mate. Thanks for the insights that you're no doubt going to give us throughout the course of this day. James Courtney starting on softs, as Crompo mentioned. The first car in the field to do so. So the grid's set. They're ready to rumble. Ford Performance Racing 1, 2 and 3 on the list. Jamie Whincup, 2nd row of the grid. Oh, Caruso.
Stalled.
He stalled it. He had a jump. He stopped in his tracks.
Well done, everybody. Well done to miss him. Great job.
Gee, it makes you sweat.
So
Hold your breath when that happens, because what happens, the bloke in front of you jumps to the side and you're right behind him and you're trapped. Look at the push and shove at turn 1. That's the other of the Fujitsu cars off, and Prema gets completely shoved off into the weeds. Slade turned around at 1 as well. It's like a wild rallycross event down there at the moment. Davison is your leader from Winterbottom. Reynolds. They're through turn 5. The Vodafone cars are line astern. Big damage, Russell Ingall. Front left, he's out of business.
Unbelievable. Let's just see how they complete this first lap, if they complete this first lap. So Davison leads them through. There's Webb and Shane Van Gisbergen.
Rick Kelly's got damage, and I think he's got broken steering as well. Him reporting on the radio that the car's in trouble.
Alex Prema absolutely out of control on the radio. He was, I mean, he must, around the outside there, it's always hard. And here's all the cars damaged. There's Rick Kelly with steering damage, left-hand front, hanging off the front of the Super Cheap Auto Commodore of Russell Ingall's. And on lap 1, Will Davison leads in a 3-way FPR battle now with Winterbottom and Dave Reynolds.
And with Caruso stalling it on the grid, it gave Craig Lowndes the opportunity to jump up and tuck in behind his teammate as Van Gisbergen gets that spot back against Jonathan Webb and tries to pick his way back through the field. Russell Ingall was the victim down there at turn 1, in the middle. Now watch this, just to the right, there's Caruso. He had a crack at it, Scafie. He had an early jump at it, but I thought he was going to jump the start. But then it stalled on him, and he's had to watch 27 other cars go sailing by
James for the lead. Winterbottom's gone up the top. There's a little bump and grind going on here. Wow. Frosty now takes control. Wild stuff, and there's someone in the field the race director has called. Has got a penalty in their stop as well for a jump start. I'll get those details to you as soon as I can.
Jamie Whincup actually got a bad start. That shot of Caruso stalling showed the bad jump that Jamie got, but it hasn't actually hurt him now because of the circumstance at turn 1. So a pretty aggressive move there with the teammates. Mark Winterbottom straight down the inside of turn 6 to lead this race. So you can tell this championship battle is alive with the two guys from the same team battling for the lead. Rick Kelly, Russell Ingall in the pits. First car on soft tyres is Courtney. And let's have a look at this. Steve Owen's involved. That's Tim Slade who bumps him wide.
I think Owen actually got the fence on the left side on the way down there. Maybe someone got into the back of him and destabilised the car. And look at the chaos that it creates when they all got out of rhythm. Here's the other angle on the outside of turn 1.
Another look.
It just ends up one of those weird traffic shuts. Now, I believe that car 8, Jason Bright, is the car that might have jumped the start. We'll get the confirmation in a tick. Here's that passing move that we described up at the hairpin. Bold move by Frosty, and there's a little bit of contact just as they come off. It's right here on the right-hand rear corner. Actually ended up with Will wide in the dirt. He probably wasn't expecting that. And a big lock-up, Tony D'Alberto. Massive damage, front right tyre for him off the road. And there was a bit of push and shove earlier in the queue there as well.
Gee, that was a pretty bold move, wasn't it? Because it didn't really get done until the next fast right. And Will really had to duck out of it because he could have held his ground on the way into that corner and had some more drama attached to the teammates battling for the lead.
So it is Jason Bright that will have to sit and hold for 10 seconds at the completion of his first stop as a result of being given a jump start.
Well, massive damage to the front left-hand side of the Super Cheap Auto car, and Russell Ingall back in the garage. Russell, that's just not what you needed. What happened out there?
Typical first corner here. There was a fair bit of pushing and shoving going on, and it looked all pretty clear, but someone turned Slady around, and Slady went in front of all of us, and she was lights out for a few of us, but you know, it's just typical Darwin, you know, that first corner. Yeah, mate, what else can you say? Like, the boys were having a big go out there. Probably a bit over-anxious going into the first turn, mind you, but mate, that's life, you know. You lie with dogs, you get fleas.
All the best, mate. Hope you get back out.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and caught up in all that first lap drama was Rick Keller. We saw him in the garage. It was only a quick turnaround. They thought they had steering damage. They didn't. New front tyre and back out again after points.
Rick Kelly was actually the guy that made contact with Slade. Now, I don't know whether he got pushed. We couldn't really see whether he got pushed out there, but he was the guy who turned Slade around.
And I think you've got to go back into the braking approach into turn 1 to find the catalyst in the first instance. It's one of those things, they'll look at it afterwards, but there'll be so many people involved and it's very difficult to assign blame. Fastest man on soft tyres out there is James Courtney. He's 6th at the moment and climbing through the field. And this man, Jason Bright, Team BOC. Oh, massive lock-up, front right corner for Bright. It's going to drag him off the edge of the road there. He has to do the stop and hold penalty at the end of his pit stop when he does come in.
So more time lost for Jason Bright. Garth Tander tucks up underneath him. And as you mentioned, James Courtney, the leading driver on soft tyres. He's gone from 11th up to 6th. His next target would be Craig Lowndes.
And for HRT fans of Garth Tander, he's done a great job. He qualified 21st, and in all that drama at the first corner, he got through there and he's up to 12th. You can see him now putting pressure on Bright for 11th spot.
Garth's point-to-point racing and his awareness of how to deal with it after so many years. He's one of 3 drivers in this field that have done all 15 events here now. He's just got that savvy sometimes when it comes to putting together these tricky races. He has bounced out. That's an amazing recovery given where he qualified. Rick Kelly's back out there, by the way, and he's the fastest man on the track. The bad news is he's last on the running list. He's 27th at the moment with Russell Ingall in the pit lane. Rick's actually just done a 1 minute 10.9. Just goes to show what clear air can do. That wasn't a particularly racy car yesterday, but getting out of the crowd makes a huge difference to your lap speed.
Lowndes is trying his best to hold off Courtney, but it will only be a matter of time before that grippier car 22 with the soft tyres on gets by.
So here's Courtney. Remember that yesterday we talked about the fact that the softs we thought were good for about 20 laps. It turned out the truth of the matter in yesterday's conditions was you could pull that back a few. 16, 17 laps was about it. So James has got to try and make hay in this first phase of the race. Jeremy Moore, engineer for Craig Lowndes, top left. Bryce Seals, Scott Sinclair, bottom left in the Holden Racing Team bunker.
Long way to go, mate.
And what they're really doing is, as Mark Larkham explained, is buying a ticket to this last phase of the race. This is going to be intriguing through this next segment because you've got to use the hard tyre. You've got to use both compounds. A lot of the guys, most of the field, other than 4 or 5 now, are on the hard tyre. And Courtney on the soft tyres, the first of the runners. He's catching Lowndes. He's right up in behind him. But the next 2 phases of this race, 2-stop race, the next 2 phases to the end will be soft tyre running. And as Neil said, the degradation over that period of time will be very interesting to see how they manage that.
We've got Mike Henry down in the bunker listening in as he watches James try and get past Craig Lowndes. It seems to be taking a little bit longer than you'd like, Mike, but pretty good start for both you guys. Yeah, absolutely. As strong as you could possibly hope for, really. And we've got James on the soft, so obviously the idea is to push him on early, trying to get some track position. Obviously, we're going to have to do a stint later where we've got a hard and the rest of the guys have got a soft. But we're looking for a bit of track at the moment, and that's the main game. So for us, yeah, very, very happy with the progress to date.
And Mike, Garth Tander, great start, obviously, from 21st up to 11th now. Just got Jason Bright. They have to be happy with his progress after all the drama at turn 1. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always roll the dice when you're down the back, don't you? So to get through that when there was so much carnage as clean as we did, that's a really, really positive position. So now it's heads down and bums up and get on with it. I know you got the red shirt on there, Mike, but next door Russell's car's getting worked on. Is the intention to get it back out and get some points? Is that what Robbie and the boys are thinking? Yeah, absolutely, mate. You know, the whole thing's about championships and not individual results. So any chance to get him back out and get some points, we'll do that. And then obviously if he's out, we can do some work to understand the car better and learn more. All right, well, when things settle down, we'll come back to you, maybe have a bit of a tour around the centre in there. Thanks for your time, Mike. Pleasure, guys. No worries. And watch and wait to see if Courtney can finally get past Lowndes, who's doing a sterling job holding him off. Mark Winterbottom leads this race from his teammate, Will Davison.
I'm trapped. Steering broken. Steering's broken, mate. Pit entry. Copy that. Steering broken. Safety car boards and flags. Safety car staying out. Safety car staying out. Safety car scramble. We have a car stop pit entry road, partially blocking the pit entry road. We don't know if the way around people are coming in. We're not. We're staying out. Keep pushing around. Keep moving, safety car. We'll give you the number in a moment. Just stand by. Yeah, you can pull up behind him. You can pull up in behind him. Go, 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 go. It's going to be messy on the out, messy on the out. Wait. Go. No, watch it. Go. Sorry, mate. Okay, obviously we need to... Okay, mate, 60 laps to go. We've just got to do our best here. We're good for fuel. We'll try and break this up into 3, probably. Softs on. Yes, mate, yes, you do. Just for your reference, currently P11 is the...
Welcome back. We're under safety car now. So most of the field have decided to go into pit lane, and this is the reason why the yellow flags and the Pettis safety car has been deployed. Greg Murphy, if you're watching at home, might be better to look away now because it was a pretty ugly incident. It started a little bit back further from this, and then Jason Bright and David Russell get tangled up here on the last turn. Now watch this. Spun around, whack. Russell into the wall.
He didn't get away with that. He wasn't far enough up, and ultimately Jason Bright held his ground on the outside, and David Russell's just spun across the front of him, busted steering, and he's driven it straight to the pit wall.
What's going on there?
So here it is again. He's had a stab, hasn't quite got up there. He's trying to make the ground on the exit, and in the end, Brighty's gone, well, I'm not going to drive in the dirt for you. And that was an ordinary move, I reckon.
Steering brakes. He tries to angle it straight into pit lane, so he gets that direction right, but then all of a sudden it jerks right and goes straight into the other fence. So double whammy for David Russell.
So yeah, I mean, I think Jason Bright, to be honest, held his ground. That's just how it is. But the second part of it, I just don't get. I don't know why, when he accelerated away.
I reckon what's happened is as they've locked, it's ended up with right lock on it, as they've tangled wheels, and that shot Russell across the front. But it was...
I don't know, but I don't know how he made it into the fence the next time. I don't understand.
So what do you think, boys? It's going to raise an interesting discussion with Thomas Mazera, the driving standards observer. It's a little bit the reverse of what we saw, remember, between Tander and Whincup at Phillip Island. Different circumstance, but same sort of issue.
Yes, it certainly is, Larko, and that's young James Moffat coming in with left-hand front steering damage. It's broken the top wishbone on the left-hand front. So he's parked. And the interesting part now, guys, after 10 laps, is that Whincup and Lowndes haven't come in. So they're leading the field. They've chosen not to take that safety car, and this is all about tyre degradation. The reason this is like this is they don't want to run that long on the soft tyres. This is an unbelievable battle in Darwin.
Yeah, copy that. About lap 7 or 8, it's a lot closer. So yeah, possibly just that tyre. Not really sure. But you know, we're all on the same side now. Well, so yeah, Whincup and Lowndes are leading on hards with 2 stops to go. Courtney's done 10 laps on his side, then Webb, Frosty and Reynolds 5 and 6, obviously same strategy as you. Stevie J in front is on hards. Tander in front, Petrie behind on the same tyres and stuff, same strategy. We can get it up at lunch to do some laps, something to reach to. Tyres am I on now, mate? Shootout or green? You're on the shootout, mate. We don't have any green. Yep.
Well, the clean-up operation is still underway at the entry to pit lane for David Russell's car, which means the Pettis safety car still has control of the field for another lap at least. So here's the story. Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes, James Courtney and Jonathan Webb, top 4. They decided not to pit. Of those 4, Courtney is the only one on soft tyres. Everybody else who came in pretty much went straight onto soft tyres, and that's headed by Mark Winterbottom, David Reynolds, Fabian Coulthard and Shane Van Gisbergen. But the big question is, what does this do in terms of tyre life and tyre degradation and grip for the rest of the afternoon, Larko?
Yeah, well, from what I could see in that flurry there, Matty, we talked about Jamie Whincup and his ability if we got a safety car about now, and didn't it happen right on cue? Always does. Absolutely fantastic for the race. So they're out in front on hard tyres, got the whole field behind them literally on soft tyres. How profound is that degradation? Well, here's a little graph from yesterday. Now, remember we said earlier, 20 laps is about it and they fall off the cliff. Well, we did a graph here. Oscar helped me do this, by the way, our race engineer. Thank you, Oscar. 16 laps yesterday we looked at. Jamie Whincup, he lost, here we are, this is slower time. He lost about 0.6, 0.7 of a second over only 16 laps. Davey Reynolds on a soft tyre lost 2.5 seconds a lap in tyre degradation up to 16 laps. So it just goes to show those guys that have put softs on, those 2 chunks of 20 laps, well, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They'll be preying on more safety cars.
That's exactly right, Larko, and we said it earlier on, it's 80% worse for Dave Reynolds based on that degradation. And this is now the story of the race, because the guys in the soft tyre have got to make these things run long, and as a consequence, can they do it? This is the thing to stay tuned for, because as Larko said, Whincup and Lowndes will go on to the soft tyre in a shorter period later on.
Guys, the pressure in this race is so incredible at the moment. What we saw in pit lane then was as wild as it gets. Will Davison almost had a collision in pit lane. And we saw James Moffat and Dean Fiore come together. Lucky to see one of the BOC crew members have an unlucky escape. Hit, but okay.
Probably one more lap. Brakes are ultra cool, so just give a little bit of a warm now. Just get me soaked just a little bit, please. To release end of next lap, expecting to release end of next. So while you can, get a bit of temp in the brakes, please. Back to trim 3 at this stage, back to trim 3.
Still in a bit of a holding pattern here at Hidden Valley, but we're about to go racing again, so you haven't missed a thing while we've been away. Jamie Whincup still heads the field from Craig Lowndes, James Courtney and Jono Webb.
This really helps the Courtney cause here. Position 3, first car in the queue on a soft tyre, Whincup and Lowndes on the hard tyre. Gee, this is interesting. We talked yesterday and we saw evidence last year of how strategy lines are quite separated early on, and then you hope and pray that your fingers crossed that at the end it all comes together for a great race. That's what we're going to have here. It's a really fascinating contest. The lights are out on the Peters STP safety car, so we'll go racing again shortly. We're going to have a very interesting situation where the blokes, these guys at the front on the hard tyre, are in real good shape. Those on the soft tyres will make an instant gain here at the moment. But what happens to them later in the race?
And what happens with 14-lap-old soft tyres on Courtney's car versus the hard tyres on Whincup and Lowndes? That'll be the interesting part of this next phase.
And of course, out of those 14 laps, you take, what, at least 4 off under safety car conditions. So they haven't been chewed up and spat out as much as they would be under racing normal run, which is what we've got now. Let's see how Whincup controls this field from his teammate. Craig Lowndes was wised up to that one. He goes with Whincup. They dropped Courtney a little bit. Who was that on the
Winterbottom
right-hand side of the track? It was Frosty.
Very good restart for Winterbottom, and also good for Dave Reynolds. They're both down the inside of Webb. Very good restart from the 2 FPR guys.
Webby's on the hard tyre.
Very good driving from Webb and Coulthard to get through there together. I made the comment yesterday, and it runs wide off the curb and pushes Coulthard off the road. So he's going to lose a couple of spots. Van Gisbergen tries to get in and around the outside and into the side of Tander. So Coulthard and Tander make contact. Crisscross there for Van Gisbergen, so he gets that job done on Webb. And Tander looking racy up behind Webb also.
And Courtney's dropped to 4th here. Winterbottom's gone up to 3rd.
That was close, Neil. He almost drilled the back of the Jonathan Webb white Commodore.
Great job, mate. Winterbottom's soft tyres are much younger than Courtney's. Davey Reynolds also cleaning up James Courtney here on the change to 6th gear on the run down to 1. 2 Vodafone cars, then Winterbottom. There's Reynolds. Courtney's gone to 5th, was 3rd.
Big deep brake manoeuvre there by Garth Tander and Jonathan Webb. Have a look through this roller coaster. This is a fantastic shot. ...220 kilometres an hour through there in 5th gear. And you've got it, as soon as you get over there, down around the outside is Will Davison. As soon as you get it over the little rise, you've got to brake the car and get it into turn 5.
Jonathan Webb on the hard tyres, a bit of a cork in the bottle of that group of cars. That's why there's such a queue forming behind him at the moment. He wants to keep them at bay so that their softs begin to hurt. Look at them all. Massive queue.
Could be a bit of drama attached to this.
And that's, yeah, it always builds stress. Someone will make a move like that. Bang, bang, bang. Patrizzi into the back of Davison. Davison into the back of Coulthard. Listen to the wheel spin for Will, and frustration ends up being the key word in these circumstances. Here comes Coulthard down the inside now of Webb, but it's a fair gap back to Davo. He'll try and have a lunge here as well.
Oh, Webb won't be able to see him. He won't be able to see him there. That's the hard part when you make that lunge and the guys come from the outside. You won't be able to see where the other car is. So he only just got away with it. It was a little bit of contact with Will Davison and Jonathan Webb, and that was mostly because Webb didn't know where the front of the other car. This is teammates now.
Winterbottom's gone to 2nd. Lowndes is now 3rd. So Winterbottom's on the charge to the lead here at the moment. He's just half a second away. There you go. Change at the top order now. So Winterbottom on the march. He's going to grab the race lead in the not too distant future, given that he's on soft tyres. They've done 8 laps, but they're not real laps. Much of it was safety car. So he's got... Don't laugh at me.
Not real laps.
Well, they're not... It hasn't really taken tyre life out of the tyre, is what I'm trying to say.
I understood, Neil.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. Bottom line is that Frosty's going to get Jamie Whincup very soon. So our leader on hard compound tyres against this man, Mark Winterbottom, who started on the front row of the grid.
Boys, it's interesting, even with the breather that the safety car afforded James Courtney, those soft tyres of his, as Reynolds goes by, the soft tyres for Courtney have seen better days. He's dropping down the order. He's 8th now, so they're done. And that tallies with what we saw yesterday. 16 or 17 laps done, but remember, they had a breather of the safety car in there for 6 laps, so they've died big time.
Turn 5, as close as you want to get. Whincup hung out wide. Now Frosty on the inside at 6. Jamie's smart enough to realise he's got no defence to that. So Winterbottom takes the race lead. Reynolds has gone past Craig Lowndes as well, and he'll come chasing down Whincup.
But the longer that Whincup and Lowndes are out there on their hard tyre, the shorter the time that they'll spend on this next set of softs that they'll jump onto, and that could be pivotal in the last sector of this race. It's all going to be about the last run that they have, the final section of the motor race, and what tyre condition you've got and how many laps you have to achieve.
Well, what it's all about is the shortest fuel fill and the best tyre at the end. So the sprint at the end with the shortest stop time.
So at this stage of the race for the Team Vodafone guys, it's a matter of matching it the best they can with their hard tyres against the soft tyre guys. Will Davison on Shane Van Gisbergen down at 1. Last time he had a look down there, he ran out of room very quickly. This time, much more space. So Davison up to 8th. Correction, 7th.
Further to Neil's point, James Courtney in the last lap was a 14.4.
Yeah, so the tyres have had it.
Just absolutely gone.
So he's plummeted now to, what, 10th? It was only seconds ago we were talking about him being 3rd and in with a chance, but those tyres have just fallen away. A bit of that will be car balance. I expect a couple of these other guys with better car behaviour, like these guys, will get away with it a little bit longer.
This is turn 10.
Looks a little more docile than the wild ride we see through 3 and 4, doesn't it?
That's about a 200k approach and 120k in the middle of that corner. And it's a very difficult part of the road. We made the comment yesterday, it's sort of a rise. You have to brake the car and the car slides to get back to the curve that we just showed you. And this is Jamie Whincup.
Campbell Little's already saying to Mark Winterbottom, Campbell the engineer for the number 5 walk-on car, just be very careful in how you manage these tyres. There he is, left of screen, top left-hand corner. Grant McPherson, the engineer, on the right for Will Davison. So managing these tyres is going to be critical.
Tander's just got Lowndes to go up to 4th spot. So Craig Lowndes is starting to fall back in the field on those hard tyres, and the harder that Jamie Whincup can make David Reynolds on his soft tyres work here, the better. He'll be wanting Reynolds to chew him up as much as he can. There's Tander, got past the 888 car, which is now under siege by Fabian Coulthard.
The other aspect that's you've been to explain for you is in the pit, Will Davison was stacked. So that's why he was right in behind Mark Winterbottom before the safety car. And Dave Reynolds has effectively jumped Will Davison, and that's why he's popped back 3 or 4 spots. So in that activity, Will Davison was one of the losers.
Jonathan Webb off the road up between 10 and 11 there at the moment. Northwestern end of the circuit. So he's down in 16th. Is Coulthard looking at Lowndes down at 1 and far enough up to make it work. He had a think about it at the final corner at turn 14. He was looking to do what Jamie did yesterday and what we saw David Russell do earlier. If you are going to pull that move up there, we discussed it in yesterday's telecast. Here we go, Davison down the inside at 5. You've got to be early and really signal your intent. If that goes on for any point in time, you end up with the drama that we saw before, cars often in the fence.
And so at what stage do you say enough's enough here? Can't handle this anymore. I'm a shot duck.
Well, you should have done it a few laps ago. As you go backwards, especially for Courtney, interesting to see how long they leave him out there for.
Hey, I want to try and get a quick chat with team principal down here, Adrian Burgess. Mate, interesting strategy. We talked up Jamie Stocks. If we got a safety car around then, he was probably best equipped to manage his tyre degradation. Safety car 6 laps, it's probably taking a little bit further into the race than you'd like.
It's turning out that way, yeah. The safety car lasted a long time. It's not over yet. We've still got 2 good sets of softs to go on, so Jamie will keep his head down as he always does, and we'll do the best job we can.
All right, good luck, mate.
And from Team Vodafone to the Holden Racing team, Mike Henry. He's got our Access All Areas pass around his neck this weekend. Mike, what are you going to do with James Courtney now slipping further down to 14th? How long do you hold out?
Obviously, we're going to get him in as soon as we can. Obviously, the tyres are obviously going away in a hell of a hurry. So what we want to do is to get him in soon, but we have to maximise the soft tyre at the end. So ultimately for us now, we're just sort of balancing up laps now until we bring him in.
So hard tyre in the next stint, Mike, soft tyre in the last stint?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way we'll go at the moment. I'll confirm that when we've done the stop, boys. But I think at the moment it's safe to say that's what we're going to do.
Garth Tander's done a great job. Sorry, Neil. He's done a great job so far. He looks like he's got better speed than yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, mate, he has. It's the changes overnight have obviously been pretty strong. We're pretty happy with it, and clearly he's got a bit of a balance. So, you know, when the radio goes quiet, mate, you know that he's concentrating and he's pressing on. So, you know those drivers, guys.
Hey, Mike, just for the folks at home, just explain why you do need to run Courtney long on these tyres, because at home you sit there and you think, well, hang on, his lap times aren't good, he's dropping back, what's the point? So just explain why you do that.
Well, ultimately, guys, what you have is a degradation number. We calculate how fast these tyres go away during a stint, and obviously the game is to win the race at the end, not to win it now. So we've done some calculations on how we think the car will come home. We work backwards from the end of the race to say, well, X amount of laps from the end is when we want to put our last good tyre on so that we've got plenty to fight with. And so then you balance up the amount of laps in the middle of the race that you have to do on your hard tyre.
Well explained, Mike. You sound like you know what you're doing.
No, what you made. I've worked with you. You know I have no idea.
Good job, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
And a bit frustrating for him out there at the moment because they're really boxing his ears, James Courtney. Now the next guy in the queue to give him a lashing is Tim Slade. So James is down in 15th now. And they've just actually called him. I just heard Scotty Sinclair calling James at this moment.
Lowndes is dropping again and doing it the hard way. So Michael Patrizzi gets past. Lee Holdsworth is waiting. And so too is Michael Caruso. And you get the feeling that...
Oh, understeer massive for Lowndes then.
He
did a push and shove as well. And he just gave Lee a little thanks for that. I'll give you one back. That's the amount of push in it. It was.
So he got the call down there towards the, probably around 12 and 13, turn 12 and 13, while he's in the middle of a battle with Michael Patrizzi to come on in. And essentially, Lee Holdsworth left him in the pit lane after all that.
There's Lowndes, there's Courtney. Both of them struggling near the end of those tyre stints.
What does it feel like when you got 4 brand new soft tyres on, especially after you've just done that stint?
Great for about 90 seconds of your life.
Well, yeah, you go from very light steering, almost no grip with what Lowndes had before he come in. You could see the amount of people that were attacking him, and he will get a birthday now. He'll go out and he'll all of a sudden have tyre grip like he's not experienced so far in this race. Steering comes up, the ability to brake later is there, the amount of mid-corner speed you can carry, all the things that are nice about a race car come out when the tyre grip comes up. So now he's got 22 laps for 2 stints, so 2 lots of 22 to get Lowndes home.
So here's Tander now trying to get Reynolds. They've come together a couple of times this year, including Tasmania. Also some push and shove in Western Australia. Just got to keep a bit of an eye on this. That was part of what Mike was explaining before. By staying out there as long as you dare in this first stint, you can shorten up stints 2 and 3, try and work from the end of the race backwards.
I'd say that's contact.
I reckon it might be, given that the bonnet just bent up a little bit too.
Ooh, that's always a difficult one there. You've got to be right up alongside to get that pass made.
And Garth can't get too cheeky, because if he wanders around too much in search of a gap, then Fabian's right behind him at the moment to pounce. Interesting now that in the case of Lowndes and Courtney, they're in the reverse situations with their tyres as well. So because they've gone about the race in a different way, this mid-phase of the race will be very different for both of them.
Whincup. That was Whincup in, wasn't it?
In pit lane.
Yep.
There he is.
And the great thing for Lowndes is he's out by himself. He's got clear air with soft tyres. We'll see where Whincup emerges, because the key to this race is track position late. And to be out there by yourself, instead of these guys on soft tyres that are all battling with each other, you don't get the yield from the tyre when you do that.
Well, positions 1 through to 17 are all now on exactly the same strategy.
Waiting on fuel, nothing in pit lane. You keep that water brake, nice work, bully. Still nothing, good to go, mate. Nice for exit. See you.
You can see it.
Four cold tyres, exit is clear, 4 cold tyres. Let's get into a rhythm, mate. I'll give you updates. Let's low 11, please give us some low 11 to start, thank you.
And there's Lowndes behind. He's just done the fastest sector split to the second sector in the race. So cold tyres here. Mark Dutton just advising Jamie, reminding the driver, don't use your existing brake and turn in reference points while the tyres are cold, or you're big chance to end up off the road. So it's a little reminder, just when you're hot and your thoughts can sometimes be a bit scrambled, wait for everything to pressure up. Gary Rogers in deep conversation here with Frank Adamson from V8 Supercar.
Guys, James Courtney has grabbed a set of hard tyres. He's got to get about 20 laps out of those, and then they'll sprint him to the finish on a new set.
Thanks, Perez. That's the strategy that Mike was referring to before. So you're working backwards to get that last stint as short as you can make it, and for the track position and the speed at that point, very important phase. You can see there now Lowndes fastest lap of the race with a 10.9, and what Mark Dutton told Jamie Whincup was, give us some lower levels, don't go too hard.
And I was about to make that remark, that Lowndes pushing hard early, you have to be very careful that he's got nothing to fight with later in the stint. That's the art.
And he's on course to actually do back-to-back fastest laps, Craig Lowndes. You'll see there 1:10.9 was his last time around. He's already gone fastest to the second sector again. And just yep, he's done it again, a 1:10.52. So Lowndes is on the tear on these brand new soft tyres that he's got.
I think that's too quick.
I do too. The only thing is that you can maybe do that if the tyres he put on had had a heat cycle from yesterday or qualifying. So when you run the tyre prior and you have one heat cycle, they actually get harder. They become more durable.
Cures them.
So as that cured tyre, it may be able to generate a better lap time at the start and let it hang in, given sort of a bit of guidance that Mark Dutton referred to with Jamie Whincup as lower 11. So there's definitely a different strategy there between Lowndes and Whincup.
This is Alex Premer and Jason Bright, 14th and 15th, walking wounded. Look at the damage on these cars. Brighty's car is all thumped and bashed at the back. Alex's car looks a bit second-hand down the left-hand side. Good qualifying performance. Actually, the whole door skin's missing off the Frenchman's car. I was going to say good qualifying this weekend for Premer, who's coming to terms with the tricky nature of getting the most out of these cars. Now, it's nearly a 10-second lead, Winterbottom over Reynolds at the moment. Tander in third place. We're going to check out the margins between the cars for you as they come down this very long straight, a little over 1 kilometre.
It'll be a while until David Reynolds joins the picture. As you mentioned, it's going to be out to about 10 seconds, the gap now.
So that question then that Frosty asked Campbell, how many laps have the tyres done? It's 19 minus the 5 under the safety car. Here's the margin. Now Reynolds and Tander are in. So Coulthard's gone to second. Then it's Will Davison tucked under the rear wing in third. Then Michael Caruso getting assaulted right at this moment by Van Gisbergen. Oh, shame, not quite far enough up. But he gets there in the end.
Way you go.
Or does he? A little bit of hip and shoulder just in the latter part of turn 1. On the other side of the screen there, you can see that the positions have changed in the pit lane. So Tander and Reynolds. It's a good battle.
It's great. Remember, at the start of this race, Michael Caruso was left stranded on the grid, didn't go anywhere. Watched the world go by. So Tander and Reynolds come out in front of Lowndes.
Lowndes straight down the inside, good move. And Dave Reynolds also very mature, not to try to cover him. He knows that on cold tyres you can't do anything about it in the first half of this lap.
They couldn't get the 55 car, Butlow car off the jacks properly. It didn't drop properly, so that was what the delay in the pit lane was.
Great question from Twitter, guys. Jason Poppy asked, do the roll bars get changed for hard tyres versus soft tyres, as in different settings? And that's absolutely right. As the grip goes away on the hard tyre, you have to come off with the bars, soften the car, and then when the grip level comes up on the soft tyre, you can stiffen the car because the car will cope with that based on the tyre grip. So very good question there. Follow us on Twitter.
So Mark Winterbottom's lap speed last lap was a 12.6. Another bunch of cars in here. Holdsworth, Reindler, Todd Kelly, Tim Slade, Taz Douglas. So a little batch of cars here, 5 of them in the lane. So 12.6 for Winterbottom. So we're going to keep an eye on the times that Whincup and Lowndes are achieving on younger soft tyres. Give you a comparison. Well, this is going to be very close between the teammates, but falls in favour of Holdsworth, just.
And what's going to be intriguing, Neil, is that Oscar's just worked out for us that the pit stop time for the last stop for Whincup versus Winterbottom will be 6.4 seconds of fuel for Whincup, 14 seconds of fuel for Winterbottom. So this is not just a tyre battle, it's about how much you've got to stay stopped for. The 8-second difference will be telling.
Last lap through for this man on screen in the blue car, Mark Winterbottom, was a 1:12.9. I asked the rhetorical question as to whether or not there's a big disparity in speed. There is. The two Vodafone cars down the order, but on young, fresh tyres. Lowndes' last lap was a 10.8. Big difference to a 12.6. And Whincup was an 11.1. So Jamie's doing exactly what Mark Dutton asked him to do. He's hitting a number. He's driving to a rhythm. Ooh, that was a big push in the middle of turn 5 for Frosty. And so what Jamie Whincup's doing is putting his faith in his guys in the engineering bunker. Drive to a number. Don't put too much stress through the carcass of any of the 4 tyres and buy that ticket to the last sequence in the race. They're laying up now at Ford Performance Racing.
They're going to have to try to split Will Davison and Winterbottom, because that was a big part of the strategy earlier. When the safety car was out, Will Davison got hurt by the stacking. So he's fought his way back. He's in 3rd position. In.
So he's done 22 laps on these tyres, 5 of which were under safety car.
Gotcha there, man. Nice and square in the box. Nice and square in the box. This is going to drop when the tyres are done, yeah?
And that yielded an 11.5-second lead over the next car.
It's a good stint.
Which is Fabian Coulthard. 3rd yesterday, Mark Winterbottom.
Clear when you go.
Started on the front row today.
Nice stop. No
Nice
fuss.
stop. Yep.
All low heart rate. Boys did a good job.
And a second hand, that was a used tyre they put on. So that sometimes they're going to, you'll see a brand new tyre go on. Look at all the water coming out. He's had a major press of the button. They use like a windscreen wiper motor, the washer motor, to fire the water in it. That was a fair bit of water coming in then.
Needs a smaller main jet, doesn't it? Because he hit the button and got about 1.5 litres in one dose. Alex Premer's also come into the pit lane in the Fujitsu entry as well. So the leader of the race at the moment is actually Fabian Coulthard. There's the margin between Winterbottom and Whincup. Now, Winterbottom's the guy with the fresh tyres. Oh, doesn't that thing look... It's only a door skin, but it just makes it look evil.
It's like a mini mug.
Sponsored by Sue.
They've had their hands full down at Gary Rogers Motorsport. From the word go, both cars involved in an incident at the start for various reasons. Caruso stranded, and then by the time Alex Premer got down to here on lap 1, he was getting bashed and biffed all over the place. So Fabian Coulthard and Will Davison come in, which leaves Michael Caruso as our race leader. See if this is as neat and tidy as his teammates.
Taking a 140. 140 in and out. Go. Just moving behind. That's it. Moving behind. Let's go.
So that's another positional change in pit lane.
Yeah, because the BJR truck's up at the pit lane entry end, so that's a good move by the Lockwood boys. So it's Coulthard, Will Davison, Shane Van Gisbergen in for their sequence of stop. Caruso's the new leader. The gutting feeling for him at the start of the race when he dropped the clutch and went nowhere. All that hard work done in qualifying, it's such a helpless, horrid feeling. But now he's in the lead of the race. As things unfold, he's climbing back.
Would have seemed like an eternity to wait for the field to go past him without incident. Thankfully, that's the way it turned out. Question is, what can he do from here on in? Approaching the halfway mark of today's race.
Welcome back. We're in the top end this weekend. We're up in Darwin, Sky City Triple Crown. And it is a fantastic race with Michael Caruso leading at the moment. This is the battle for 9th and 10th between Fabian Coulthard and Will Davison. Let's check out some of the action that we've seen thus far. Look down the order there and you see Michael Caruso stationary in the Fujitsu car after a ripping job in qualifying. Qualified 5th, went nowhere at the drop of the clutch. Other highlights here, up into the hairpin, and Mark Winterbottom down the inside, turn 6. And I don't think his teammate Will Davison was fully expecting that move. This was a bit weird and awkward. It looked okay initially, but at the exit of the corner, somehow David Russell ended up making contact across the nose of Jason Bright. And the secondary part of this incident was as he straightened it up and tried to make it back into pit lane, it's just fired hard right and whacked the fence.
That was a very strange one. We tried to work that out as you see that big braking manoeuvre, big slide there from Lowndes. As the FPR guys come through, this was Winterbottom putting pressure on Whincup, who was on hard tyres. Winterbottom, nice pass, no drama. Jamie knew it was over. And there's a little bumping duel with Lee Holdsworth and Craig Lowndes, and Craig Lowndes into the pit straight after that. Rick Kelly got caught early. He thought he had a bent steering. They come in, they put another wheel and tyre on it, but he was involved with Tim Slade at turn 1 in a lot of drama. There was a lot of cars involved and made a big impact to the midfield at turn 1.
So Rick's down in 24th there at the moment. He's 2 laps away from the leaders. And you look at that lap counter on the left-hand side of screen there and you realise that 200 Ks around here, 69 laps is a long way. They've got a lot of racing to come. And that's why the strategy game, the way you manage your tyres across the 3 stints, 2 stops, how you play your hard and soft tyre is so important at the moment. Whincup is doing exactly what Mark Dutton told him to do. He's driving around in low 11s when he's not traffic affected.
This is a good battle between Dean Fiore and Alex Premer, both on soft tyres. Dean battling to get it stopped there at the end of the main straight. Makes a nice exit, but he ran a little bit wide at turn 1. So Caruso from Patrizzi, Winterbottom, Whincup, Bright. That's your top 5.
They're returning the Jim Beam cars to the white and black colours after this race. So there'll be a little livery change for both Fiore and for Johnson.
That is Stevie Johnson there, who's tucked in 21st position. So Michael Caruso continues to lead the way here at the Valley. Mark Winterbottom carrying a bit of a virus this weekend, on the podium yesterday, and is now effectively the race leader. Michael Caruso is ahead of him on the road. In fact, he's 9.5 seconds further up. Caruso will eventually have to come in. So Winterbottom holding off Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes. Jason Bright, Garth Tander, David Reynolds, Fabian Coulthard, Will Davison and Shane Van Gisbergen make up our top 10.
Interesting, James Courtney, 12th at the moment, is just the only guy out there in a sea of cars that have got the soft tyre on. He's got the hard tyre on. He's fuelled far enough to get him to lap 55. From lap 55 to lap 69, they will put a soft tyre on in the last stint. That's going to make him very racy and put him in very good shape. So just keep that in the back of your thoughts. 12th at the moment, car 22, a different strategy. It's the one that Mike Henry discussed with us a little earlier. Just watch what he can do when he gets a fresh soft tyre on, and it's a relatively short stint in the cooler part of the race. When I say cooler, it's all a relative term because it's still going to be stinking hot out there, but it's not as tough as the first and second sectors of the race.
48 degrees in the cabin. Frosty will be feeling it now, in the footwell especially.
It's so hot through that firewall and against the gearbox and exhaust with the left foot there. We saw at the start, Shane Van Gisbergen had a burnt foot from yesterday through the race boot, and that's the sort of temperature that's generated through the floor of the car.
You get huge heat soak back through the pedals, believe it or not. There's a heap of them wandering around here in their socks last night, some of them with their feet in ice buckets.
Well, these guys have had a bit of a scrap while we've been watching Mark Winterbottom at work. Reynolds, Coulthard and Davison. Jason Bright and Garth Tander are just behind them, so they've been trading places over the last few laps. These three bunched together with good reason. They've all got similar strategy, the same strategy and the same speed. Michael Caruso has come into pit lane, so that'll cleanse the field.
Had a couple of tweets also, Matty. What are the paddles behind the steering wheel in Jamie Whincup's car? And the paddles are on the right-hand side, the paddle for the radio, and the paddle on the left-hand side is for flashing the lights. The other one is, do you use more fuel with the soft tyre versus the hard tyre? And yes, you do. The faster you go, the more fuel you use. It's about 0.1 of a litre per lap.
He's been impressive this weekend, Fabian Coulthard. He's just done another job there on David Reynolds. He goes up to 4th in the Lockwood entry. What about our mate all over the Twitter sphere here?
Discovered social media. He only learned to use a computer about a week ago.
Davison also picks off Reynolds. Hashtag V8SC.
I think there's a question on there about you at the moment, Neil, about the way you set up the commentary box with all your paperwork. But anyway, we'll move on.
We will.
Sometimes we can barely see the track for all the paper. So let's go back. I told you that these guys have been involved in some toing and froing over the last few laps. Garth Tander was the victim, so that's why Garth ended up sliding down out of that mix. He's now in 7th.
It was quite a violent bump, wasn't it? It was quite a jump in the rear of Garth's car. It would have been a fair jolt from the driver's seat. Here's Will, 5th at the moment. Let's check the lap speed, 1:12.5. Fabian Coulthard did an 11.9 on the last lap. He was as quick as Winterbottom. The fastest guy was Whincup, 11.7. And Lowndes' pace, by comparison, dropped off to a 12.0. So he's 0.3 slower than Jamie on that last lap.
We saw yesterday Whincup driving it so smoothly and making the car as straight as possible on the exits, and very, very nice with the flow and the application of the brake and the way that he got the turning done early. As I said, able to straighten the exits and not hurt the loaded side rear tyre, and that's what he's doing again today. He was told to drive to a lap time. We saw him inside the car before, the way he was operating, and so is Will Davison. You look at the way there, how nicely the throttle is modulated. Have a look at the steering trace here. So he's got it turned, he makes the steering take a set. Have a listen for the throttle as they come onto the straight now. You watch. Hear that nice progression. Very, very important for tyre life.
Still searching for a race win this weekend. 2 pole positions. There's a long, long way to go in this one this afternoon.
mate. Great driving. Use these tyres. 3 more, please. Doing tyres all around. Filling her up with fuel to get to the end. Have a tire on both. Tires enough. Waiting on fuel clear in the lane. Okay, good job, mate. So we're going to get 24 laps out of these boys, so keep that in mind. We've got a pressure adjustment and a roll centre change. So smooth and consistent, smooth and consistent. Fuel come out, behind it.
Welcome back. A critical moment here. Jamie Whincup has come into pit lane, so that will give him 23 laps for this final stint. So we're on lap 47 out of 69, so Team Vodafone have played that hand for car number 1.
Car
888 will be heading in as well, because that's what's waiting for Craig Lowndes.
Green tyres,
Yes.
brand spankers.
So for the whole weekend, they had 16. Big slide. Lowndes down through that little sort of chicane that comes down to the final corner, turn 14. And look at the big slide. He knows they're gone, so he's in for tyres. I might as well use them up. He's a maniac, isn't he? Have a look at this.
Yeah, so this is up at 10, 10, 11. Then just watch the way he gets through the direction change here at 12. So he is a maniac. Look at that, there's paint and dust and dirt and rubber, and
It's called the Scandinavian Flick. You'll see it in rallying all the time, where they're sideways one way and they're sideways the other way, and that's Lowndes in full flight.
Hey boys, as Lowndes comes in behind me, I just want to show you a couple of things here. There's the front disc. I'll tell you that is a 500 degree centigrade. But what I'm more interested in is this right rear tyre they've just pulled off the car. Here it is. Let's have a look. Just chase it. This is going to be really interesting. 92, 90, 80. Now, I've got to say, Craig Lowndes is in good shape. I just did Mark Winterbottom's. He was 106 degrees centigrade. That's 3 times as hot as your road car is going to be. That's 94. So these guys, we've talked about tyre degradation. Temperature tells us the story.
Yeah, Larko, speaking of tyres, the current plan for Ford Performance Racing is to leave Mark Winterbottom out there for about another 6 laps. They have a pretty good condition set of soft tyres that they've only used in qualifying, that they'll whack on and send him for that final 17, 18 laps as hard as he can towards the finish.
Well, Winterbottom's coming straight in, though. Here he comes.
Clear out, Frosty.
This will be very interesting.
Go, go, go.
Yep, where he comes
Yeah,
out.
quite tight, quite a merge with one.
It's going to be quite
So
tight.
be ready for it.
Here he comes.
so this is going to be a real shootout.
The exiting now will be
Here he
tight, mate.
comes.
He's got hot
And
tyres.
he's at pace. He's going to grab him. It's going to be...
That's that fuel difference we said earlier.
Look at Frosty trying to cover.
Oh, be careful, because he can't stop it now. So, Caruso through. Frosty was trying to get back to the inside to cover himself, but at that stage he was already committed to the braking area, and Michael would have drilled the back of the Falcon if he stayed there.
That put Caruso on the dirty side of the track. So now Winterbottom wants to have another look, this time at turn 5.
He's got the fresh tyre, and he knows that it's in the next couple of laps where he's got to do something with them if he wants to be able to lay a glove on Whincup.
No threat, no threat. Let's get a little bit of breathing space and then we manage.
And Mark Dutton just said to Jamie Whincup, just buy me a bit of breathing space and then you and I are going to manage this. Here it is again in replay. Watch Mark Winterbottom covering Michael Caruso. That's wild stuff on the dirty side of the road on the left for Caruso. He did manage to stop it, but only just. Brett?
Yeah, Neil, you know how these teams watch each other. That complete change of plan from Ford Performance Racing was because of what Team Vodafone did. When Team Vodafone came in, went on at fresh tyres, Ford Performance Racing said, righto, we're throwing that strategy out the window. We've got to go with them, and that's what they're doing.
And they reacted really quickly, Barretts, didn't they? They made that decision in an instant.
And it's important to do that because you've got to know who you're racing. In this championship battle, there's only 40 points separate the top 3 cars. And at the end of the day, in a race like this, if that's what the strategy is, sometimes the team that you're competing against will drive you towards their strategy so that you don't lose too much. And that's what's happened today in that circumstance that we just saw.
Michael Patrizzi's been in the thick of the action today. From the word go, he's now got Stephen Johnson on his hammer. Unsettled car 91 up towards turn 5. Craig Lowndes has just done the fastest time to the first sector. On that new set of tyres.
Coulthard's in. That releases Davison in the lead. Will last stopped on lap 33, so we can expect him shortly.
Right, so this is a bit of aggro that goes all the way back to the final turn. That was why everybody looked so unsettled.
Still clear.
Lowndes has just done a 10 flat. 1 minute 10.0. That's very fast.
Well, that's the green tyre, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to smash them. It's got to hurt them, hasn't it, when you go that fast at the start? Hey, we just had a really good tweet. Lots of discussion about Reynolds losing time in the pit stops all year. And really, it's worth explaining that he's in a composite team, so he gets serviced by the Lucky 7 guys and the Bottle-O guys. So it's not the one team practicing all year, and that it definitely has affected him. That's actually a really good pickup. There's the 2 teams. Lucky 7 having a wave, and the Bottle-O guys on the other side. So 2 different teams servicing that car, and hard to have them all in unison as a normal team would be.
Caruso gets by Tim Slade.
That's for 6th.
Michael Caruso has done a great job to bounce back here and keep his head down.
He has done a really good job, Matt. I mean, that was a major drama at the start, and for him to fight his way back is really good, isn't it?
Well, you'd understand if he was, you know, completely deflated. What is it now? Over an hour ago at the start of this race, after such a good job in qualifying. He's only won 1 race in his career, and it came at this circuit. So he felt good. He had a good pep in his step. And then he had to pick himself up off the floor again and start all over again from the rear of the field. So the Lucky 7 and Bottle-O crews go to work again. Will Davison leads the race by 3.6 seconds. Then it's Shane Van Gisbergen. Then Jamie Whincup, who's in a battle royale with Mark Winterbottom.
So it's great to see Caruso back to where he started, mate. That's 5th position at the moment. Very, very good. We're just looking at the degradation. Oscar has given us the look between Vodafone and FPR today, and FPR are almost twice as good. They've lifted their game in terms of the tyre degradation, and Will Davison is leading this race. So we see Fiore coming back out, Van Gisbergen in 2nd. This will pick up all the gaps for you, folks. That's Jamie Whincup, that's 3rd position, behind. That's not the position for Jitsu, but the car behind is Mark Winterbottom. Caruso there right with him.
So
there's Craig Lowndes, sorry.
Will Davison last came in on lap 33. We're up to lap 53, so 20 laps on that set. Lights flashing by Fabian. Look at all the dead rubber on the side of the track.
Soft tyre just creates it, doesn't it? I've never seen so much debris on the circuit. Have you, Neil? I mean, the length of this race, clearly longest we've had on the soft tyre, but that's amazing. I've never seen that much debris.
It's a huge amount, and if you do end up off that racing line, you don't have to wander very far, and it'd be just literally like driving in the wet, just no grip at all.
Well, we saw Caruso. That's what almost caused that incident there before with Mark Winterbottom on the rejoin. Look at these 2. They've had a bit of a battle royale, and Davison in now.
Race leader, got a 3.4 second margin.
Got you there, man. You got a dead straight running, nice and square in the box. Get it nice and square.
2 cars that were left sitting now.
Shane's come with him. Van Gisbergen, 1st and 2nd. That leaves Whincup in the lead.
This is an intriguing race, isn't it?
So third and final stop for these guys.
Go.
Shane made a little bit of ground there.
Certainly did. By a fair way. He was 3.5 seconds behind. He's definitely not that now. It's one car length.
One of the things I've noticed about Ford Performance Racing over their winning streak lately is the demeanour in pit lane. It's just been so calm. They've taken a leaf out of the Vodafone book. There's no rush. There's hardly any energy there. They just keep it all very cool and get the job done. It's worked today so far. So Whincup with the field cleanse has a 3-second lead over Winterbottom. Then Caruso up to third. Craig Lowndes in fourth. And he continues to push his way through. On this long, hot afternoon, where they've got to complete 200 kilometres, this is going to be a fantastic charge to the end. Don't go anywhere. We're at Hidden Valley for the V8 Supercars.
Let's manage the tyres. I'll go the gap round the corner. You had a bit of a push that lap. Front bar up 1 click if you can, please. Make sure you're happy with bars and bars. Thank you. It's 3.4, Winterbottom drop to 410. Let's manage tyres. Laps remaining, gap 3.16. Driving late, Johnston 2 seconds in front in lap traffic, but decent pace at the minute.
Now take a look at that crowd. up on the hill all the way around this circuit. 49,175. That's the biggest crowd easily over the last decade here. And they've witnessed another great weekend. Good stuff yesterday, and it's still on today. Look at this, Tander and Davison side by side.
Old teammates, and Will's got the younger tyres here. Down the inside he goes, it's very close. Interesting game being played. It's 3.8 seconds between Whincup and Winterbottom. Whincup has got to do 23 laps on his soft tyres in this final segment of the race. Remember, he two-stopped. He didn't take that early safety car. Lowndes is in the same boat. He's got to do 22 laps on his set of tyres. He also two-stopped. He's been flying just a lap back. He did a 1 minute 10.6. He's done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:10.0, and he's all over the back of Winterbottom at the moment. This is for second position, this battle. Campbell advising Frosty of what the position is. So all similar tyre age, different way of going about it, but here comes Lowndes. They were brand new tyres on that car down the inside. So tyre condition helping Lowndes here. We saw them in the lane, what they looked like, and what they look like, brand spanking new tyres, and the way they've managed them this weekend, that's worked well for them.
And they're only one lap apart, but it was green tyre versus used tyre. And the battle we saw before with Davison and Tander, those tyres are 9 laps apart, so you see the difference in the speed. This is an interesting one based on that, and there's the drama with Caruso and Lowndes, and a little bump at the top of the hill between the two guys as Lowndes fires up the inside of the crisscross. Oh, saw that yesterday. It was very close, wasn't it? And then a little bump. You just see the body language of the car.
Boys, while we watch this final replay of Craig Lowndes' incident, we'll just check in once again with Mike Henry, who's been kind enough to guide us through his day, bird's eye view out of HRT. Thanks so much for doing this today, Mike. We really appreciate it. Your final comments and wrap on the day?
It's been a good day, really. It's you know, good racing. It's a good spectacle here. It's always a great one for us personally. You know, probably Garth's tyres. The last stint were sort of went too early for us, so we've had to do a longer stint at the end, just like you were saying before. So that's hurt us. Our pace at the end of the race is not so good. And James, we run the hard tyre in the middle, and obviously that's never great when the other guys are on softs. But overall, from where we were yesterday, a good step forward, and you know, we've learned a lot. It's a good day.
I thought that Courtney may have been stronger in this final phase, Mike, with the soft tyre, but clearly the balance of the car isn't good enough to make anything out of it.
Yeah, and obviously by this time on the weekend, you know, you're not putting on green softs even at the end, so the condition of those tyres that went on, you know, aren't unfortunately the best, so we're just working with the tyres that we had left, really.
Okay, mate, under 10 laps to go. Garth Tander in 9th now and James in 12th. Thanks so much for your insight today, and we'll see you in Townsville.
No problems. Thanks, guys.
Lowndes is flying. 2.4 seconds the gap between Whincup and Lowndes. This is Garth Tander. He's 9th at the moment. Just been talking with his team manager, Mike Henry, in the bunker of the Holden Racing team. Whincup, Lowndes, Winterbottom, Caruso, Coulthard, Davison, Reynolds, Van Gisbergen. You wouldn't believe that Caruso could be in the mix, given what happened to him at the start.
Just on that next event in Townsville, 3 weeks' time, if you couldn't come up here and enjoy the sunshine, why don't you come and see us?
It's good, isn't it?
Northern Queensland. It's one of the great events. Just go to v8supercars.com.au and grab yourself a ticket and come and join us as we head to the closing stages here. You just get that feeling. We're heading for another charge to the line between 1, 2, possibly 3 cars, because Lowndes is coming and coming fast at Whincup.
Caruso last stopped on lap 42, so it's a fair stint that he's got to do now to get to the end. Whether he can manage the tyres and the car is good enough to do that will be the question, but it's a great position to be in at the moment, 4th. Here's Lowndes, 2 seconds exactly is that gap. He was 2/10 quicker to just the first sector than his teammate.
3/10 to the next one.
You can see now the margin between them as they head down to the final corner. Back to second gear for Lowndes. A couple of little rubber scuffs on the front of the car. Get the gap checked as they come over the control line this time through.
Make sure those tyres last. Have a drink.
please make sure the tyres last. So Lowndes, 1 minute 11.0 for Whincup, 1 minute 11.3 for Winterbottom. He's the second off the race leader pace. It was a 12.3. Same number for Michael Caruso. Winterbottom's got no response.
Craig Lowndes has won 4 races at this circuit, hasn't won one since 2007, and hasn't won one in a Holden since the very first race back in 1998.
I remember that one clearly, Matt.
Sure you do.
He's driven very well around here. It's just funny for a guy who's been so successful. He probably really hasn't quite achieved the number of wins that you'd expect based on how competitive he's been over the years. In fact, he hasn't won a race this year, so it's one of the ones that he'll be trying to do now as he hunts Whincup down.
It's interesting that we've had great variety in the pole sitters, but not quite as much winning variety. It's been shared across 3 guys so far this year. We'll check that margin again, first to second on the computer for you on this lap. A couple of other guys that have done a notable job. Fabian Coulthard's done a terrific job. Qualified 8th, he's 5th, and if there's any faltering from Caruso in tyres at the back end of the stint, Fabian might even jump up one.
That time around, Craig Lowndes was fastest. 110.9 versus his teammate 111.3, so the gap is 1.5 seconds.
And I wonder what happens now when Craig does range up onto the back of the number 1 car.
I think they let him go. I think they're big boys. I think you let them race, and their policy normally is to let them go. The only thing that's a question mark for Lowndes is, can he keep this speed up based on putting the green tyre on? We said before about tyres that have been cured. There may be a little bit of a drop-off right at the end of this.
We're going to get the answer, though, Compo, to your question, because he's rounded him up.
Hey, boys, just want to show you, talking about all those little marbles of rubber out there on the circuit. And this is what happens, and it's very difficult for a driver. You can see, look, there they are, glued to, this is Will Davidson's tyre here, and it presents a couple of problems. You can see they sort of grab onto the tyre, so they don't just come off as quickly as they go on there. And when you're driving the car, often that feels like, because the wheel's got extra weight on it, puts it out of balance, and you go to your tyre service centre, they put those little weights on them. That's the sort of thing they do it for. The other thing you see happen in Formula 1, because this stuff weighs quite a bit, they actually run around at the end of the race and intentionally gather that on there to get their cars over the weight. Really interesting.
Thanks for the update, Larko. Pickup can be so bad that yesterday, for example, Jason Bright got bumped wide at 1. And remember, we saw him spin the car. He thought the wheel was coming off the car. He said it was so bad, and we've all done it. We've all found our way out there and got all that garbage on there that Larko just showed us. You would swear that either a wheel's massively out of balance or there's literally something has failed on the car. And he just had the world's laziest spin. That's all from the junk that accumulates. And your point earlier, if you end up out there or you're pushed out there, it gets even worse. Brett's?
Oh, just down in Team Vodafone with Roland Dane. Roland, Craig makes his way up behind Jamie. What are the instructions from there? Is Craig clear to go by?
They've just got to look after their tyres. I don't want them to blow their tyres out, that's all. They can do what they want as long as they don't blow their tyres out or blow each other off.
Look, that's good advice.
I thought there'd be a disclaimer.
It was coming, wasn't it?
I was wondering where the important bit was going to be in all that, which was, after you deal with the whole tyre issue, how about they stay out of each other's doors?
Looking back to Shane Van Gisbergen from David Reynolds' car, it's not a long way back at all because the Kiwi is really closing in. That's for 7th position. And yet again, another great weekend of qualifying for David Reynolds. And a real hard race for car 55. He ended up 5th yesterday after starting on the front row.
It does look like his car's a little better today than it was yesterday. They have found a little more consistency, but there's Shane down the inside now for 7th position.
He races hard, Van Gisbergen, doesn't he?
Traffic, Dean Fiore, Jim Beam car, and that's now punched this gap down to 0.3 of a second. In fact, it's less now as they cross intermediate 2. He's so whisker close to going off the road there. He actually put the front right wheel on the white line, dust and dirt flying. Can't do too much of that. The old heart rate monitor on Roland would have gone up then.
I thought it was in the fence, because as soon as you make the grass, you're in the fence there.
Single file up the right-hand side of the circuit. Stevie Johnson just steps aside and lets Jamie Whincup go through. Craig Lowndes obviously tagging in the whole way, so 4 laps remaining now.
And this might look Look at that right-hand front tyre. It ends up over the edge of the road, and both tyres in the end have turned, and it looked like the rear was going to go off. That was so close to basically putting him out of the event.
Frosty's struggling. 13.3 the last lap for Mark Winterbottom. Caruso's still punching out high 12s. Coulthard's done 12.7. Watch for Coulthard. Here comes Lowndes. Thought about it. Showed the nose. Little Morse code on the rear bumper. Lowndes has yet to have a victory in 2012. He's had pole positions. He hasn't been able to capitalise for the win. He wants to be a winner this year. He wants to stay in contention. Crowd reacts on the hill.
It's not only the pressure of attacking your teammate, but you're also attacking your teammate who's the championship leader by just 2 points. If Jamie Whincup can hold on here, if Jamie can hold on, he'll have a 50-point gap in the championship. And was that no threat from behind?
Well, that was wind the fuel to maximum in terms of engine performance, so no worries about fuel economy and maximum straight line speed, because when the tyres are destroyed, you want everything for nothing. You want to be able to get down the straight as fast as possible, and at this point both of them are clear to race. But no threat from behind means either get your eyes forward or be real careful. Oh, and down the inside he goes.
And takes the lead with just a handful of laps remaining at turn 6. And I don't know who was happy and who wasn't there in the Team Vodafone bunker, but Jamie Whincup basically had to surrender that move. He was hung out high and wide, and Lowndes didn't miss a beat, straight through.
Adrian Burgess was in the middle, and that was probably about his position as well. And Mark Dutton looked pretty sad, and Jeremy Moore looked pretty happy.
Bit of wheel spin, you hear the wheel spin, yeah. And a late dive. Jamie's got quite a wide line here, so he uses a sort of a turn back on yourself technique, meaning he start out very wide and turn back. And look at the reaction. Jeremy reaction on the right. Mark Dutton's little shrug of the shoulders on the left. That's the intensity. That's the thing about this sport. You're in the lead garage. You're battling for the lead in 1 and 2. You've got a guy who's leading the series, and you've got a guy like Craig Lowndes attacking him, and he's using every bit of road now.
Adrian will get a job at the United Nations after that one, the straight face after that one. And Lowndes is still going ballistic. I mean, he's all over the shop in these last couple of laps. He's already dipped it into the dirt down at turn 5 on the lap where he ended up getting the lead, and the wheel spin cost Jamie Whincup so much.
Guys, a big word for Caruso. He has done an unbelievable job, and his guys, everybody at Fujitsu GRM, to get the thing from a stall on the grid position at the start to get to 4th, and the same, Fabian Coulthard's done a ripper job as well. That is an outstanding day's work.
Well, we said man of the match yesterday was Craig Lowndes to come from 20th to 4th. And the way that Caruso today, after that start and being last and having the run through, has been an extraordinary drive. Well done to everybody there. I couldn't agree more, Neil. That is the best performance of the day by a mile.
That's a long, tough, hard stint that Michael Caruso has put himself and his car through.
And don't worry, he's not far from Winterbottom. He's 3 tenths faster and he's right behind him, so he might even get to the back of the podium.
So let's see the completion of this final lap. Lowndes' last one here in 2007. Jamie Whincup picked up victory yesterday. They made it clear that they put all their eggs in the race basket and weren't really focusing too much on a qualifying car. They both started inside the top 10, and at the end of the day, this ever-popular man who was named in the Queen's Honours list in between our last event and this one adds another notch to his belt. This will be his 5th victory at Hidden Valley.
Unbelievable. Well done, mate. Fantastic.
The 83rd of his career and the first of 2012 for Craig Lowndes. Whincup second.
Mate, great drive. The green. You did a great job, mate. Made it difficult.
0.9 of a second the difference, and Michael Caruso tagging along, desperately trying to push for a spot on the podium, but Mark Winterbottom holds it down.
He wasn't far behind, was he?
And, yeah, we're going to work it.
There's Jeremy Moore there with Adrian Burgess, and what a great reaction, Jeremy. He was almost surprised by that performance of Lowndes. And that's what the energy and the excitement is like when you win one of these races. Fantastic. Craig Lowndes, new tyres for that last stint. Definitely assisted his overall pace, and he was just very, very strong. I think he might use these tyres up, Neil.
Gee, what gives you that idea?
If you're going to measure the tread depth, you needed to do it more than 5 seconds ago. But popular winner, great drive, aided by the fact that I thought that these guys did a smart job at the beginning of ignoring that safety car and playing a different game. So 2 stops for Team Vodafone.
He's off the road. He got a $10,000 penalty for this last year.
He's off the charts.
It's actually 10 grand to him now. He's Craig Lowndes OAM.
That's right.
It's gone mad.
Ring the Queen up and get that one sorted out.
Exactly. Look at it. Look at it.
Check out the cockpit, though.
That's right, mate. Great starlight.
He's in there somewhere.
15 seconds behind.
So 2 stops for these guys today, where everybody else pretty much reacted and grabbed that first safety car.
Look at it.
Would not be able to see a thing in there at the moment.
No.
There's a chance of finding the fence.
All the way to the end, please.
So he won't see it, he'll feel it.
Righto, let's run you through the provisional results. So 0.9 of a second was the difference. The Team Vodafone 1-2. Great drive by Michael Caruso. We've touched on that. Will Davison from pole position ends up 6th. David Reynolds holds down his top 10 starting spot. And Garth Tander, what a fight today from him. Lee Holdsworth in 12th spot. Michael Patrizzi had his hands full the whole way to finish 18th on the lead lap. And then Stevie Johnson, Alex Premer and co down there. And then Carl Reindler, James Moffat, David Wall, David Russell in a bizarre incident, and Russell Ingall all failing to make it through to the end.
I wouldn't check those tyre pressures. I think there's a bit of a waste of time, that one. It's Jeremy. A great reaction. As I said before, that's the sort of effort and great rapport with the teammates there. They knew at the end there was going to be no drama. Very professional effort. Jamie Whincup even leading the series. Didn't get caught up in the battle with Lowndes. David Couch he's the Roland Dane.
Early birthday present. He turns 38 in a few days' time, Craig Lowndes. So life's pretty good at the moment. And he continues to maintain this extraordinarily high level of achievement and skill.
He's fit.
And another race win next to his name. Big crowd have seen it here, more than 49,000. The championship picture will reconfirm for you, but it's Jamie Whincup has pushed out the lead over Will Davison to 38 points, and Lowndesy remains in 4th.
Hey, great scenes of celebration, Craig Lowndes. Congratulations on your first win of 2012.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I suppose it's been a long time coming. It's sort of, we've had some great performance in qualifying. Yesterday, I think I had my worst. Today, obviously, to have a 1-2 with Jamie was quite special.
Beautifully done between the two teammates in that final few laps.
Yeah, well, look, we had a green set of rubber soft tyre to put on at the end, and although I had a deficit, I just wanted to make a look after those tyres, push on, and I think yesterday proved that we can look after those tyres, especially those soft tyres around here. So for me, look, it's been fantastic for the team and obviously fantastic for our championship. But I just got to say hello to Levi and Chili back at home.
Lowndesy, a massive weekend, 20th to 4th yesterday, first today. Well done, mate. Enjoy the podium.
Thank you, I will.
Lowndesy, well done. Jamie, for you also, fantastic weekend. You came into this weekend, second place in the championship. You'll go away as the championship leader. Well done.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Car was fantastic today. Well done to Lowndesy. He had crazy speed at the end there. So Vodafone 1-2, as I say, we're not in a drought, but we've had our challenges. So 1-2 today is an awesome feeling.
You knew he was coming up behind you pretty hard.
Yeah, hey, he had awesome speed, and I raced it out, but he had a crack at me up at the hairpin, and he was clearly the quickest car. So big thanks to everyone at Vodafone and Monster Energy. Fantastic weekend all in all.
Good on you, Jamie. Well done.
Cheers.
And Mark Winterbottom for Ford Performance Racing. Frosty, congratulations. Been a tough weekend for you health-wise, but you've done it. You've got to the podium. Well done.
Yeah, it was a good day. We started off the front, had pretty good speed on the hard tyres, and those guys in the Triple Eight cars were very quick on soft. So, yeah, good. We still finished. The days that you got a good car, you'll win, and the days that you're not, got to try and survive. So 2/3 is a good weekend.
And bring on Townsville. You've won there before.
Yeah, it does. Has been good to me, but it's been good to those blokes too. So hopefully it's good to us this year.
It'll be a great stoush. Frosty, well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
So what we see here is very typical of straight after the race. Will Davidson just out of his car having a debrief with his engineer, Grant McPherson. Mate, hey, Will, first time I think this year not on the podium. I just got a sense that this could be a little bit of a turning point for Triple Eight. They were very strong.
I mean, they've been strong all year, Larko. They've had speed at a lot of races and just haven't converted, so have we. We had great one-lap speed here, but this has been an unusual weekend. This heat and the behaviour of the cars, the setup of the cars has been sort of reversal. So, you know, we've been sort of struggling a little bit to get the tyre to live, but, you know, there's not many circuits like this. So, you know, we'll take the points in 6th today. We had a bit of a punt with the setup to try and improve it as a rocket over one lap, but, yeah, it wasn't as good as yesterday. So, anyway, Townsville, we're super confident. We're right in this battle.
Good on you, mate. Look forward to seeing you up there.
Being so super consistent, that's the reason why Will Davison is second in the championship, only 38 points adrift. So it was 2 points the difference going into that race. Mark Winterbottom 49 points away, and Craig Lowndes holding fire in 4th spot. This will be a very popular podium, I reckon. It's time to get there with Brett's.
13 of the year, the 2012 Sky City Triple Crown. Would you please congratulate our winner, Team Vodafone's Craig Lowndes. Second place for Team Vodafone, Jamie Whincup. And in 3rd place, Ford Performance Racing's Mark Winterbottom. Accepting the trophy on behalf of the winning team from Team Vodafone, Adrian Burgess. And making the presentation of 3rd place, Michael Shearer, the commercial manager for one of our major partners, Cooper's Brewery. Presenting 2nd place, Simon Farquhar, the area general manager, Telstra Advertising Network. From our major sponsor, making the presentation to the winning team is Brad Morgan, the general manager, Sky City Darwin. And from our fantastic hosts, making the presentation to our winner is the Honourable Paul Henderson, Chief Minister of the Northern Territory. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Sky City Triple Crown Race 13 winners.
They're exhausted. With happiness at Team Vodafone as well. First time in 5 years that Craig Lowndes has saluted the checkered flag here at Hidden Valley.